Little nightmares made my palms sweat. Though I could attribute this physical reaction to the strange, disjointed sequence of events and set pieces, or the maudlin transformation that may or may not be a social commentary on greed, or poverty, or vanity, or all of the above, I believe the beating heart of Little Nightmare's terror lies within the antagonists. Aside from a few evil slug children towards the beginning of the game, the enemies you face in Little Nightmares look to be human. Or do they? There's a certain predictability that comes with our preconceived notions or judgments. These don't much matter, however, when the thing we're assessing doesn't conform to our expectations. For example, we can easily recognize a chef from what he or she wears, what he or she does, how they do it, and the place in which they're working. So when we're faced with two people in chef hats and aprons, chopping up food in a kitchen, we understand immediately what we're seeing, or do we? Just as quickly as we identify the supposed chefs, we understand there's something not quite right about them. Their faces are lumpy, sagging masks with texture like that of burlap. They shuffle about the kitchen, peeking into glowing red stoves or smoking furnaces, waggling their fingers around in open carcasses splayed out onto a chopping board, as if they enjoy the dead thing more than the cooking. Knowing that something is off, what do we really know at all? These two are chefs, sure, but what are they making? Who or what are they feeding? What are they thinking about? What are they doing? What might they do? To you? They simply don't conform to our expectation, and therein lies the fear. Physicality plays into this idea as well, which is quite reminiscent of a Jean-Pierre Jeunet film, all in balanced proportions viewed through a fisheye. The janitor's long arms, for instance, always seem to reach that bit farther than you expected. The gluttons on the boat unseat themselves faster than you would have even thought them capable. Fear of the unknown is sneaked in through the back, so to speak, under a misleading guise of the familiar. Of course, the same thing can be said for enemies in Resident Evil or Silent Hill, The Last of Us or Siren, but in the case of Little Nightmares, the visuals are childlike. They evoke the same breed of fear that might have paralysed you as a child. The monster hiding under your bed in your closet or lurking somewhere in the dark before you switch on the light. An actual mechanic of play which sparks a save point. It is this careful avoidance of realism and lack of a mature perspective, like a teen drama clearly written by adults, which enhances the feelings of innocence, or innocence lost, confusion, and vulnerability. It isn't enough to just play as a child. It's the act of playing within a child's world that's truly frightening. The former being your small and physically disadvantaged avatar versus a worldview grotesquely out of proportion. Like Among the Sleep sans the maturity I was talking about, under which you could be crushed by the weight of a reality you don't entirely comprehend. Sound is used to equally disorientating effect, further throwing this perspective into disarray. Enemies shriek, huff, splutter, twist, creak, and hum. Sound effects are disconcerting and not pleasing at all on the ear. A strange trombone puncturing the soundscape, a proverbial Baby Jane piano drop, a faint heartbeat, are just a few examples. Listen even closer, and there's a relative petri dish of almost indistinguishable sonic textures underpinning enemy encounters. A grimy, atmospheric undertone that can consist of a cornucopia of sounds ranging from sharp metallic scratches, the crackling of an old record, static and feedback, to slight mechanized churning. Contrastingly, the musical soundtrack, oft underscored by those uncomfortable sound effects I just mentioned, adds a bizarre sense of awe to proceedings. Whether it be a scant chorus of children's voices, a drone beat, drums, fractured humming, or what appears to be the tinkling chimes of a jack-in-the-box, the melodies conjure up a space that is as uniquely intriguing as it is dangerous. If atmosphere can make a game, Tarsier Studios nails it. Throw in movement slowed by a fraction, movesets that have a tendency to work against you, and a relatively small margin for error, and it all makes for an unbearably unnerving experience, hence my sweaty palms. Little Nightmares may appear a confusing hodgepodge to the casual observer, and perhaps it is let down by a lack of consistency in aesthetic direction or logical progression. But this game is a nightmare, a place in which sense has no business being. Regardless, gameplay and atmosphere severely rattled my nerves, which is as good a testament as any to the effectiveness of any horror. Little Nightmares lasts a few hours, which is perfect for those of you who have little, no pun intended, time on your hands. Since there are no strict tutorials either, you just might miss a few things on your first time through, I know I did, which adds to the replayability if you want to see and do it all. So if you'd like to play something a little different, a little scary, that takes up little time, then I would recommend this little experience. Thank you for watching, I hope you enjoyed this video. Feel free to share your thoughts and comments about Little Nightmares here or on my Facebook page or on Twitter, the links to which are on screen. I try to read and respond to as many comments as I can. I'll see you soon in my next video, which will cover my thoughts on Mass Effect Andromeda.